Hey everyone, so today we are going to be doing a Mad Hatter makeup tutorial. This one is more inspired by the one from the live action movies. However, you can tailor it to be whatever Mad Hatter you want. But I am starting with my base, and today that is going to be a white face paint. This is my white cream paint from my Sassy Beauty palette that I got off Amazon. It's a great little palette. It is a dupe for like the Inglot one. It has like 30 colors in it, I think. There's a ton of colors, including UV activated paint. So if that's something you're interested in, I can always throw a link down below for you guys. I don't get anything from that. I just like this palette a lot. But I am starting with this as my base, and I'm using a foundation brush today because I want this white paint to be super thick but also look makeup-y. I'm not trying to make this look like skin like I did with my Sedusa look that is coming up. I'm trying to make this look like the old-fashioned kind of Victorian foundation that was really white. So I'm using a foundation brush with a lot of paint on it, and I am loading this up on my face so my face can be as stark white as possible, and we're just going to fill in the whole face like a mime or a mask. So I just kind of did under my chin and then brought it all the way up and around into my hairline so that the makeup will kind of blend into the hairline of the wig, so it looks very intentional and seamless. So, like I said, I'm just filling this in with the brush, making sure I get all the crevices around my nose, because I always forget there, and right underneath my eyes. And then I'm going in with a sponge just to blend out any brush marks that might be on my face, and also tap a little bit of paint over my lids. I don't apply paint directly to my lids most of the time because it gets very creasy very quickly. So I like putting the paint on closer to when I'm doing my eyeshadow, and I also don't want it to be super thick on the lids because then the powders don't really like to blend and stick, and it ends up making more of a mess than being helpful to the overall look. But you can just blend this out, and my sponge is not damp for this, just because these are cream paints. Sometimes the water will wash away or kind of smudge the paint. So a nice clean blending sponge will do the trick, and you can get really cheap ones and use them if you're someone who's just doing this for Halloween and don't have a big case of like 30 sponges at your disposal like I do. Just get something cheap and it'll work just as well as something expensive. For the eyebrows, I definitely wanted to stick with that kind of auburny copper color, so I went in with the Rich Auburn NYX Thick It and Slick It eyebrow. I guess they're like fibers and mascara is the best way to describe them, but this is a really pretty auburn color that goes really well with red hair. I used it when my hair was red, and it also helps create a really thick looking brow, especially on that white, so they look a little bit untamed. Now for the eyes, this is where we get very fun and creative. I am using this kind of bright orange. I know it looks pink right now, but I promise it's orange. Eyeshadow, this is a ColourPop shadow. I don't think they make this color anymore, but just find a very vibrant set of colors you want to work with. But for me, I wanted to draw in that kind of orange that we're going to have in the hair, and I packed this all over the lid, going all the way up to just under the brow bone. We're not doing a cut crease here, we're not doing something super detailed or intricate, we're just doing big, bright, bold colors, so just get this all over the lid space. For right under the brow bone, I went with a really bright teal. This one is from NYX, and I wanted to use this one because it is a very contrasting color to the orange that we used. It's also just one of my favorite colors to use in any look. So I put this right under the brow bone, like I said, and then brought it all the way down to the outer V to give us a little bit of a blend on the edge there, but also make the look that much more dramatic and create this really pretty kind of frame around the eyes. I also brought it into the bridge of my nose, not only to serve as contour, but also just complete the look a little bit. And I added about 2 layers of this shadow just to make sure it was super bright. So for this kind of look, you're going to want to do more packing motions than sweeping motions, just because it's going to deposit a lot more color. Now under the eye on this side, I am using this baby blue shade. It's one of my favorite shades from Sugar Pill. I don't know that they make it anymore. They may make something similar now, just under a different name, but I just packed this on as well. You could do a pencil too, but I really wanted to have this like big blown out color under my eye. Because this is shadow, I did not get it in my waterline. I just left that little strip of white from the paint there. And that is perfect because that is going to make our eyes look bigger, more cartoonish, and more dramatic and closer to how the Mad Hatter's eyes look in the movie. They're always very big and disturbing and unnerving. Kind of in every version of the Mad Hatter, his eyes are very intense. So now I'm going in with this bright teal liquid eyeliner. I would recommend getting a liquid eyeliner if you're going to do a vivid over top of any other colors. They're just way more pigmented, they stay on longer, and it's going to give you a better color payoff, where a pencil over time can kind of start to change color, or you're going to have to use a lot of it to get that desired payoff, where the liquid, it just works a lot better. NYX makes a great one. I've reviewed these on my channel before. Really any kind of vibrant one. I know Wet n Wild does them every year too. And now I am committing a YouTube cardinal sin and not using false lashes. I put all this color on my eyes and I want you to be able to see it. So I'm not covering it up with a super voluminous lash. If you have those different colored eyelashes, I know Wet n Wild does them every year for Halloween, I would recommend using those, but I didn't have any, so I just went with a nice layer of mascara on both the top and bottom lashes. That way there's still a little bit of contrast. My lashes definitely pop, but they're not covering up any of the work I just did. Now on my other eye, I'm going in with this kind of royal violet color. Not gonna lie, this is a single shadow from NYX, and it is a cursed purple. It is so chalky and so hard to work with, but I really love it for Halloween looks because when you get it right, it's so vibrant and it looks really good over top of face paint. So I just did what I did on the other eye, just with purple, just covering that entire eyelid space, blending and packing on shadow until it looked exactly how I wanted it. This one just took a little bit longer than the orange since it is such a difficult color to work with. A lot of purples are like this. I guess it's just part of the manufacturing process that these deep rich purples are really, 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 really hard to use and get to look right. But with a little bit of patience, you can make it look right. But this is also the Mad Hatter, so if it's not perfect, it's not a huge deal. For the upper lid space on this one, I went with a powder blue. It's the same one that I used under the eye earlier. I wanted them to tie in a little bit, but I also thought the light and dark kind of went together really nicely. Plus, I'm just obsessed with this powder blue and don't get to use it often. And then under the eye on this one, I went with a metallic finish of shadow because that orange I used, I forgot to mention, is kind of foiled. So it adds a little bit of like the reverse on each side. Where with this one, the dark blue underneath is foiled. And then did the same exact thing with the lashes and liner on this side. So now I'm going in with a Super Shock blush. If you are doing a face paint, you are going to want to use probably a cream product. You can use a powder, but I have found sometimes that the powder can get a little bit chunky with this face paint. So I went in with more of a dark cream blush. This is in the color Cheerio. Again, I don't think they make it anymore, but if you have a liquid blush, you could definitely go with that, and I think it would give you a pretty similar finish. But I just went real heavy with this, patted it on all over my cheeks and kind of up around my eye, and then also on my nose just to give it a little bit of a cartoony flush, and then went in with a Super Shock highlight in the color Monster. In retrospect, I would probably use a more fun colored highlight than I did. I just kind of did a white duochrome, but maybe I would do like an orange or a green if I had it on me. Maybe just use like an eyeshadow for it. And then to add a little detail, I went in and added fake freckles. I did this fuchsia liquid liner and then also orange because fuchsia and orange are kind of the basis for my whole inspiration for this look. I don't know why, it's just I was feeling sunset colors, I guess. Again, I'm using liquid over powder just because I think it holds its color a little bit better. And with these liquid liners, if I push down really hard, I can get a big freckle. If I touch really lightly, it's going to give me a little one. Like I'm doing with these orange ones, I'm going really quickly, kind of around. Those are going to make those really small dots, where the pink ones, I went a little bit bigger with them. And I just did it all across my cheeks and, of course, the bridge of my nose. So now for the lips, I'm sticking with the vibrant orange. And I did kind of accidentally make this lip shape of having the really like puckered sort of like, I call them like cabaret lips because that's what they look like. They look like the makeup from Cabaret. So just that really tiny kind of puckered look. I don't know. It's very artistic, very mimey, and I think it just fits the Mad Hatter really well. You could also do like a really big wide smile, but then you kind of start getting into Joker territory. And then over top of that, I added a couple dabs of this fuchsia color. And again, it just kind of created that sunsetty look and added a little bit more dimension to the shape of my lips and pulled more pink into the look. So it kind of tied the cheeks and the face and everything together. I got halfway through this look and realized it could also work as like a Chapel Roan Halloween costume. So, you know, do whatever your heart desires. So all that's left is the wig, and I just went with my big Merida wig. If you type that in Amazon, this is what it'll give you. It is a kid size, so it doesn't fit my head super well, but we made it work for the look. But yeah, something with just a lot of curls will do you right. And then I threw on my top hat. I didn't have time to make it fancy, sorry, but you guys get the gist. So that is the end of the look. I hope you guys liked it, and if you're doing the Mad Hatter this year, let me know down below. I want to see your version of it.